today we have three wonderful guests who all own their own beauty business. We have Bao, Birdie, and Penni, and I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves. So Bao, do you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so hello, my name is Bao, and I'm the owner of BBBeauty, and that stands for Be Bold Beauty. And I think that's always been a philosophy of mine, is just to, be bold. And being bold means different things to different people. So for somebody like me who's done makeup for a long time, like putting on color shadows is a really bold move. But then I always encourage people to do that, because when we push ourselves out of our comfort zones, then we tend to, see that our confidence, increase. So so that's my business. And for me, my signature beauty look is always a soft glam. That's always what I go for. I always try to go for that expensive glow, for you to look like you just stepped out of a magazine. That's just kind of my makeup style.
And it's timeless.
Yes.
I feel like I was telling you this, but all of the looks that you have, they are soft glam, beautiful and timeless. Like it will still be in fashion 10 years from now. That's just how I view your makeup.
Yeah. And I think that's what I really try to go for. I love Harush. She's like a makeup artist. She does makeup for like Kim and the Kardashians. And I love what she says about makeup is when you wear makeup, it should be you wearing the makeup and not the makeup wearing you. So whenever I go into a session, that's like my mantra. I always go into a session being like, okay, today I'm going to do the makeup on this person. I'm going to enhance their beauty. I'm not going to try to overdo do their face. I just want them to look like how they look, but an enhanced version of themselves,
Yeah.
So
awesome.
Yeah, that's me. Bye.
Yay.
Woohoo.
Okay, and then we have Birdie.
Yes, my name is Birdie, actually Pakula, but you guys can call me Birdie. I am the owner and artist of PLee Beauty, LLC. So PLee is my first initial last name, and then Beauty. So the name was actually my Instagram name from years ago when I decided to kind of start documenting my beauty journey. I knew nothing about makeup, guys, nothing. So I tried makeup, didn't work out. And then I kind of started liking hair, but it just didn't work out for me either. So then, after multiple failed attempts of getting nails that I wanted, from different salons, I decided to just order my own stuff and started playing with nail products then. So that's kind of what started this whole journey, is just, learning on my own from home. So that started 7 years ago. So then, when I did finally got licensed, decided to open my business, I just kept the name because, it's who I was when I started, and then it will continue to just be me because it's me.
I love that.
So I decided to keep the name, and then it's right now I started with nails, and then I added lashes. So lash extensions, and then I recently just added permanent brows.
Which I am wearing her lashes, and I don't ever wear lashes. But I'll put them on me this morning. Yeah. I'm getting used to it now, but I love them so much. They make me look a lot more beautiful than normal. So
I can second that.
Yeah, I feel like whether it's nails, lashes, makeup, hair, whatever it is, it, like Bao said, it really should be another extension of you. We should be comfortable enough with ourselves to where, when we think about beauty, we're not trying to mask who we are just basically enhancing it. So with my logo and, my posters and everything that I created when I first opened, I guess you could say my tagline or my mission statement for clients is PLee Beauty LLC, enhancing your beauty one set at a time, rather than that way you're
like
coming,
being somebody else.
Right.
Because I think in today's world, especially because of YouTube, everybody, and I was saying this to Penni yesterday, I feel like everybody does makeup very similarly because makeup wasn't even that big of a business until I feel like 10 years ago,
Social
maybe
media.
15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it started out with tutorials on YouTube.
Yep.
And then it blew up. So now I see a lot of younger folks who do watch tutorials. They do their makeup very similarly.
Yep.
It's kind of oversaturated now. But so I wonder, and we'll get to Penni also, but I wonder how do you stand out,
Right.
So
Yeah, and that's kind of my goal is, when a client comes in, don't tell me what your husband wants you to do. Don't tell me what you think will look good. Don't ask me what I should do for you. You have to think about, what do you want? What do you actually want? I have a lot of clients, they come in, whether it's lashes, brows, or nails. Well, I just don't know what's going to look good on me. Well, what do you like? What colors do you like?
And a lot of
what
that,
style
I think, is trial
do
and
you
error
like?
too, because sometimes you don't know,
right?
Until you try something.
Exactly. So I kind of, that's why, because I run my business on my own. I have a private studio. It's just me, and I feel like with just it being me there, I'm able to connect with my clients a lot more. So I'm able to get to know them, get to know their personality, get to know their likes. So that way we can kind of, they'll come in with a picture, but after our first 5 minutes of conversating, it's completely different.
So you curate and customize
Yes.
that for
Definitely.
for the client.
Yep.
That's awesome.
All the time.
Awesome. And then our last guest today is Penni. Drove here from the cities yesterday in the best weather that we have here in Wisconsin. Do you want to introduce yourself, Penni?
Hi, my name is Penni. I am owner of SOULFresh Salon and Barber. I've been in the hair and beauty industry for about 10 years now. Started right out of high school, and I kind of been in since. I ventured out, done other, business entrepreneur stuff, but I think over the years of building my business, like what a lot of these ladies say is just trial and error. One of the things that I think had that I've come to realization too with my business is the relationship that I've been building with people over time. And I think that's what I'm more passionate about. I think my gifts and my talent is just kind of a way for me to kind of like be able to be a blessing to people, and the name SOULFresh actually came from, just kind of where I was at in life. And I'm a very spiritual person. And so sometimes, being led to, say certain things or do certain things for people, I think that's really important, because you never know who sits in your chair, who you're going to impact, what kind of difference you're going to make in their life. And I think that I kind of was blessed with this gift to be able, it was just kind of like a lead way to connect with people and, have them share their stories. And in some ways, I feel kind of like a therapist sometimes.
All the time.
I do feel kind of like a therapist sometimes. And I'm sure a lot of you ladies feel like it, because when people sit in your chair, they share their stories, or maybe they just need quiet time. And I know you run into people who talk and people who are not very social. But I think a lot of times there's different ways that you can feel for them, hear them, and be able to make an imprint on them. And so going back to what I was saying, SOULFresh actually, I used to have this saying, because I used to work at a barbershop too. And, we would do like head massages and haircuts and stuff. And a lot of clients always tell me like, oh, I feel so fresh after. And then I'm like, oh yeah, it is. And I used to have this saying like, so fresh, so clean, I
was going to say, okay, so fresh and so clean.
Yeah. And so that kind of started, because I'm like, I named it SOULFresh because it is, when you go in for a service, it is renewing. It's like feeding your soul, doing something good for yourself, allowing yourself to be taken care of, and that's kind of where the name came from, was SOULFresh. You feel fresh after, you feel renewed, you feel like your soul's been fed, you feel like someone took care of you,
like nourished almost.
Yeah. And so that's where SOULFresh came from. And so I do a variety of different things. I do cut men's hair, women's hair, I cut and color. I do lashes, and makeup services for brides. And then, I also do a little bit of like skincare analysis for girls that are having challenges with skin too. And the reason why I got really passionate about skin was because after high school, I actually never really broke out through high school, but I broke out really bad. I had adult acne, they call it, like after high school. And it got really bad, and it really kind of like, messed with my self-image a little bit. I couldn't step outside. And so now I'm just super passionate about like helping people find regimen, educate them about skincare, proper care and all that stuff. Sometimes the goal isn't really like, I love giving information away. Sometimes the goal isn't really to make a sale or try to get something out of people.
It's more to educate people.
Yeah. Yep. To educate them, to help them. I think because, like for us growing up, we weren't taught so many things. Like we didn't know about beauty. We didn't know how to, my mom never used skincare. Never taught me how to use skincare. None of that. Never taught me hair care. So I was actually kind of like I was very tomboy. I didn't wear makeup growing
You
up.
as in Birdie.
Yeah, Birdie. Sorry, I was trying to. I'm learning, but I was always a tomboy, sweats and t-shirts all the time. Didn't really do makeup until I got out of high school, actually. But hair kind of just fell in my lap. Originally I was more passionate about music, and then my journey was after that I knew I was a single mom coming out of high school, so I had my daughter really young, and so for me, music just wasn't gonna make the cut for me. And so
I do have a question, and this is for any of you guys, if you guys are able to answer it. What did beauty? How did that be how was that introduced into your life, first of all? Because you are right. I don't think I can remember even my mom or even my sisters. And I'm the youngest of I guess the youngest daughter. And both of my sisters didn't do a lot with makeup either. My mom didn't do a lot of makeup. Do you guys remember when beauty, and not maybe just makeup, but hair and feeling good, from the inside out, when that was introduced to you, that concept? Can any one of you guys answer that?
go ahead. Oh, you
Anybody?
I think for me, my dad always did kitchen cut. So, my mom, she wasn't really into skincare, but my mom always looked put together. She always did her makeup. And so, but, I don't think she ever really taught it, but she always did her makeup. And I tend to observe my environment a lot. So sometimes I really look up to my dad. My dad was always like, he was everything. He was a soccer player, a musician, a barber for the boys.
Jack of all trades, it sounds like.
So then I was always like, oh, I want to play guitar. I want to play soccer like my dad. I want to, I want to do all the stuff that my dad's doing because he's so cool, And so for me, when I was younger, I used to, or throughout junior high and high school, I always salon. We could never step in the salon because my parents couldn't afford it. And so I was always curious. That was my curiosity. I always was like, let me cut your hair. All my friends, I'm like, let me cut your hair. I was like,
so
let
your
me
friends
color.
were your guinea pigs?
Yeah. So I started really young, and I remember one time, some of my little cousins, we were all in the bathroom. We locked the door, and our parents was like, what are you guys doing there for so long? And when we came out, we all had haircuts,
Everyone had bangs all of a sudden.
That's how it was introduced to me, And so,
Penny, what did you do?
I actually never thought I was gonna actually become a hairstylist. I thought I was gonna do other things, But I think I don't know. Along the way, I think it was, like I said, it's just some people just have a natural gift, and along the way, I started to feed into that gift, and it just kind of came to me naturally. I understand hair. I can do hair easily. If I wanted to learn something new, I could watch somebody do it and learn how to do it, And so that's kind of my story. I kind of just picked up what I was good at and started with that. Yeah.
And I'm kind of opposite from you, Penny, where after high school, I had to go the more traditional route of going to college and finding a job that's going to pay my bills. So I kind of went through, and I am actually a counselor full-time. And I do makeup part-time on the...
She works for the state of Wisconsin, but we won't say where.
Yeah, we can't say where. Because I didn't get prior approval for communications. But anyways, yeah, so then I, went that route of getting that traditional job and that security. And then I just officially started my business a year ago. And it's... And now when I look back, I'm like, maybe I should have really just focused on that, because I was always really into fashion and beauty and all that stuff. But I think it was just that fear of
I just had a question.
Yeah.
It kind of is awkward because I got to lean in, and then everyone knows that I have something to say. So if you could do it over again, Bao, it's kind of sounding like, would you have rather have pursued your passion of beauty first and foremost and kind of not do the traditional route, or are you still thankful for your traditional avenue that you took?
I think I love being a counselor, and I think in a lot of ways, like you said, we are therapists when we are, meeting our clients. So I love counseling. Overall, I just love helping people. I'm just compassionate, and I just have empathy for people. So I guess answering your question, I think maybe if I had more guts, I would go back and just go into the fashion beauty route and just stick to it. But being an artist in any field, just an artist in general, it's just really hard to to feed yourself.
How do you monetize that, right? I feel like you may have a passion, and I was talking again to Penni about this yesterday.
Yeah.
We spoke till very like 1:30 in the morning, I feel like. But that's the hardest part, that when you want to pursue something that is a passion that is known to be more in the arts, how do you begin to monetize that versus if you went down the traditional route of going to college and getting that degree, which, you wanted to be in the helping field, and you're very good at it too, by the way. You and I feel like you and I have always connected because we did very like parallel things.
We did.
We did research as an undergrad, and so I feel like we can talk for days also. But that's more, I think, comfort in knowing that that's financial security. Like, you'll be able to probably get a meaningful job, whereas for the arts, sometimes, especially like in makeup and things, you do have to do freelance. You have to launch your own business. So just because you love something doesn't always necessarily equate to being, a business person. So I guess for you, when you launched a year ago, and I think you launched hard. Yeah. You launched hard. You did so successfully when you first launched, and you still do consistently. But when you first launched, how did it feel when you saw all those likes and you were getting bookings and you were getting into the groove of, yes, I am an entrepreneur now? How did that feel?
I think it felt really good. I think in a sense, it's like I'm affirming that I am talented and do makeup. Because I think for a long time, I kept talking myself out of it. Like, I'm not good enough. Oh, who would pay for this service? Like, how would I even get people, and I think once I did launch and I did start getting booking and just doing a lot of collaborations with like photographers really helped too. And then it just kind of really reaffirmed myself, like, okay, I am good at this, and I'm going to continue to work hard. I'm going to bust my ass, and I'm going to keep working hard and learning the skills and honing on the skills and investing in myself, paying for to go in to watch. Like I said, I went to watch Mario, he's the makeup artist for Kim, and I loved it, and it just totally changed my life. And I just want to continue to do things for myself.
You have to explain now for our listeners and our viewers who Mario is and who Kim is, because it's obviously Kim Kardashian, everyone.
Yes. So it's Kim Kardashian's makeup artist, and he's just so well known. Like, he's so famous, and I went to his master class, and I really wish we would have gotten like the one-on-one of doing someone's makeup, but it was just basically sitting there for 6 hours watching him do makeup. Yeah, but then it was life-changing, though, because I came home, and then I, like, really honed in on my techniques of what he taught you in that class, and then I just felt like that, like I told Shane, like, I felt like it really elevated, like, how I did my makeup, too. So, so then I guess the answer to your question is I felt like I affirmed who I am, and I continue to tell myself, I'm worthy, I'm good at this, I'm going to continue to do this. Because I feel like we live in a society where often us women, we don't get told enough that we're good at things, right? Oftentimes we're told, we're pinned against each other, oftentimes always like, oh, she's better than her, she's better, but I'm sick of that. I just want to focus on what is it? What's that word? Uplifting all, especially us Hmong women entrepreneurs, uplift each other and support each other. And okay, I'm getting
and I love that, because this is the entire concept of this episode was I gathered you ladies for a reason. You guys are obviously entrepreneurs. You are Hmong women. Now that kind of leads to, and this is for me too, and I've had many of these conversations before, being a Hmong women in our culture especially, it can be even more difficult, not just in the mainstream, but in our own culture. Have you guys experienced that, and what was that like? I'm sure we all have, but I'd like to hear.
Yeah, so for me, like we mentioned before, I was a tomboy. High school, even after high school, college days. So I took the typical route of going to college right away. I knew shit about what I wanted to do with my life. Because growing up as the oldest, as a Hmong daughter especially, I think as the oldest in general, they have, being the second generation, well, actually the first generation born in the U.S., right, of, the Hmong immigrants, there's a lot of expectations for you. So, the expectation was to go to college, get at least a 4-year degree, and get a nice 9-to-5 job. Like, that was typical. That was the expectation. So, like, for me, I really didn't know who I was yet growing up. I kind of bounced between different friends. I didn't click with any group because I didn't know who I was. Mm-hmm. So I jumped from, a group of friends to the next. I got along with everybody, and I was just like, gosh, just isn't right. Like I don't fit anywhere.
And we had this,
so,
and I want to add to this too, because, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to add to this because there's a couple of different parts of our identities as, and this is again, something me and Penni were talking about yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
We are Hmong women. We are millennials, which I
Yep.
feel like generationally that matters a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We are the first generation born here
Yep.
and experiencing now two major cultures that are completely different
Yep.
from one another. And then you're just trying to navigate through this world as it grows and continues to grow with or without you. You have to really figure out, who am I? And you're not, you're not mainstream enough or white enough, right? Like
Right.
your friends are, or you're not Hmong enough because maybe you didn't know the language at one point, but you're not able to speak in it as fluently for your grandparents or something, and you're looked down upon. So I think that there's so many identities. So I'd like to just comment that that's something that I like relate to, because I think that is really hard for all of us. And I think we're all millennials too. So we are all first generation.
Yep.
I was born here in America, and our parents did experience the war.
Yep.
And so they had all of those things that they brought our, basically as much of our history as they could bring here. And so, for me growing up, it was really difficult trying to figure out, who am I, and so.
Yeah, definitely. Cause like I was always into arts, whether it was art or music, anything that had to do with art, that's what I was good at. And so, I remember my parents asking me, what are you going to do when you grow up? What do you want to do after high school? My first answer to them was, I want to become a firefighter, kindergarten, whatever. My second answer, this is like mid-elementary, so like probably 4th, 5th grade. For some reason, I was obsessed with volleyball. I'm not a sports person, but that's just something I dreamed of doing, right? And then later on, towards the end of my high school career, they asked me again, and I told them I wanted to become a singer. I was in choir my entire school career. I sang. I was in choir the entire time, and so and with every answer I gave them. Besides the firefighter part, I was like 5, so that didn't really matter at the time. But, every other one, they looked at me and they said, that's just a hobby. You can do that as a hobby, but you have to still go to college and get a job.
Now, do you think that was harder because your parents are both teachers too?
I think so. I think it's that, and I also think because, they came from such a hard, they went through so much hardship. And so coming to this country, they just wanted us to do good. So in their eyes, they don't want us to fail. So in order to not fail, you take the typical route, right? Where it's safer. You go to college, get a job. It's a guaranteed paycheck once you get a job. And, you don't have to guess how much money you're going to be getting, that week or that month. So I think for them, they didn't want us to fail, so they wanted us to take that route because it is guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that you're going to get a job right away, but once you get a job, it's guaranteed income, right? So for me, that was hard because growing up, I think that's why I was so confused as to what I wanted, because I'm like, well, I want to do this, and I can put my heart and soul in my life and, and dedicate myself to this, but, how if I do that, I'm going to disappoint them. So I guess I'll go to college after high school, but I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do. So after I graduated, I evaluated my strengths. Right, I'm like, okay, the only thing I like is art. I really wasn't into makeup or nails or anything yet. So I'm like, I really want to do art, but I'm good in.
And when you say art, can you explain what that was?
So just like artwork and music. Okay. So like I used to draw. I wasn't the greatest, but I did enjoy it. So that's kind of what I wanted to pursue was something in drawing, something in design. I loved computers, so maybe even graphic design was kind of what I was thinking of too as an option. So, I started looking at my strengths, right? So I was like, okay, I'm good in math and I'm good with computers. Well, what can I do that pertains to both of those, right? I'm like, okay, so accounting. So I mastered that, got my associate's degree because I did not want to go to a 4-year college. I'm like, you know what? I'm having a baby. I was pregnant right out of high school. So, I'm like, I'm having a baby. I have to work. So then that kind of, I had to take a step back now from what I wanted to do with my life now because I had another life that I had to take care of. So that was hard too. right after college, I just went straight through, graduated, got a job about a year later, and then everything just became routine after that. I forgot about who I was because now I had to think about who she was, right? So everything I did was for her. And so, so I was stuck in this place. I was stuck at a 9-to-5 job for 5 years. I moved departments, I got raises, it was steady income, it paid the bills, but, time after time, I was just like, gosh, I'm so miserable. Like, I'm good at what I do, but it's so routine. I do the same thing from Monday through Friday. And it just became a very, like, miserable routine for me. So, but again, even 5 years in that job, I didn't have time yet to still reflect on my life, for me personally. And it wasn't until my grandma passed away that I hit rock bottom. And that is when I finally, because I felt so alone then, right? So because I finally, physically I wasn't alone, but because mentally I felt so alone, I was able to finally think about everything in my life. And I was just like, damn.
I think sometimes
I am miserable,
Yeah, I think sometimes we gotta hit rock bottom.
You do.
To pick ourselves back up, whether it be financially, emotionally, mentally, whatever, right?
Yeah, and at that time I was already doing nails at home as a hobby, so that was something I liked already. But yeah, it wasn't until that time that I finally, it finally hit me that I am the only one in control of my life and I have to do something about it. Because, this whole time I was working, trying to look for an opportunity at work to, move up the scale, right? I kept trying to look for people to present me with something. Mm-hmm. And
that's the thing is opportunities don't sometimes fall in your
right.
lap. You have to go out there and create it.
Exactly.
You have to create the space that you want to occupy.
Yep.
So I know that you guys all work in beauty and you all are part of the Hmong community as well. How do you balance being in the beauty community, like Bao said earlier, not wanting to put other women down in the community? It's oversaturated, as well as also having the Hmong component into your business. How do you guys balance all of that and making sure that you're being good businesswomen, fair businesswomen, but also empowering your clients at the same time?
So for me, as far as, yes, the beauty industry is very oversaturated. There's, a makeup artist, nail artist, hair artist almost on every corner now. And I think the main thing for me is, I try very hard not to focus on other girls or other people in the beauty industry, because the more you compare, the more you're going to criticize your own work. And either you're going to talk bad about the other person or you're going to talk so much about yourself that you're going to put yourself down. So for me, I look at women who have been in the industry longer than me. I look to them as inspiration, because everybody starts somewhere. You're not going to be professional overnight. I think continuing education is very important to be able to enhance our skills and to be able to learn new techniques, just new methods in general. But it's better to just focus on you and your work rather than comparing yourself to other people, because then, like I said, it just becomes a shit show. It's like high school all over again. It's the mean girls again, So, and rather than comparing each other, I think we need to work more together to, like Bao said, to uplift one another, because we can learn from each other. And, you see the other business as a competition, yes, but in reality, there will always be clientele for you.
And don't you think it's better anyway, not just for the sake of business, but just as human beings, to collaborate rather than compete?
Oh, gosh.
There's always going to be a sense of competition, but it's friendly competition to help you challenge yourself, so you do better.
That is something
you see somebody doing interesting things, and you're like, I want to do it too,
right?
And that helps you grow, because how else do you grow?
Right.
So.
Yeah, and whoever comes to you for a reason. Either they like your artwork, or they like your personality, they like your location. There's always a specific reason they come to you. So, if Sally is down the hall from you or down the street from you, don't worry about Sally and her business. you have to stick and focus on you and your clients. And, you know, that's the only way to not get sidetracked, you know, because otherwise your brain's going to go everywhere.
Now, how would you answer that? Because I think even, you know, obviously there's a lot of people, and I think in your building too, Birdie, you have somebody who does things, services, they offer services very similarly to you. And then, of course, with hair, that's some, you know, there's salons and things like that too in the cities, especially where you're from. But beauty and makeup, at least in my world, I see it as, you know, you see it on every YouTube channel. It's everywhere. How do you differentiate yourself?
For me, when I'm doing makeup, like I said before, you know, I always try to focus on enhancing the person's natural beauty already. And I kind of going back to what like Birdie was saying, like not worrying about what other people are doing. Like I use other people's work as like a source of inspiration. You know, you look at it and I think it's human to compare yourself naturally, right? Because you want to know where you stand at a skill level. So I caught myself doing that too. And then I'm like, okay, you know, like come back. Why am I comparing? What is that person doing well that I want to be as good as them? What is something that I can take away from this? You know, so I always try to self-reflect and just kind of think of how I can be better as a makeup artist. But yeah, and standing out, I think it's just hard in general to stand out for makeup. But I think if you have like a niche, you know, like a niche or something you specialize in, and you keep honing in on those skills, and you keep on trying to perfect it, then I think people like that style. Like Birdie said, you know, they like you for a reason, and they will come back for it.
For me, this is Penni, by the way. For me, I think, you know, like for me, like one thing that I do for myself is at the end of the day, I reflect on, you know, like my mistakes, what I did wrong. How can I change what I'm doing to, you know, make my craft a little bit better, you know? And then, you know, for me, I know from experience that like when I first started in the industry, like I look up to people who were further along than I was. And I knew at one point I was not that great either. And so I don't want a lot of these new upcoming stylists and artists to look at me and put me on a pedestal and say, oh my gosh, I can never be as good as Penni because she's too good. I want to be an inspiration for them and encourage them that, hey, everyone starts somewhere, because at one point I sucked like really bad, you know? And a lot of times you have clients, and, you know, with social media now, when you do one bad work, it goes out there, you know, and sometimes it hits us hard, and we get kind of affected by it. But I think at the end of the day, it's always improving, and like I said, I reflect on what I did wrong and how can I make it better and how can I make up for it, and, you know, like the way I service people. And I think, you know, with other like stylists in the community, like I want to just focus on uplifting them and encouraging them, hey, you know, stay hungry, you know, seek out the knowledge, seek out, you know, like shadow people if you have to, invest your money if you have to. Like you got to do what it takes to get to where you want to be. Don't be discouraged because there's too many out there. I think there's a, you know, authentic side of you that you bring to the table that no one can bring, you know. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about building a relationship with people, the people that you service. I think along the way you build these friendships. And I mean, and I love connecting with other women, because I know for me, like if I'm never available, like I want to trust that I can send them to a good friend that can rock her and take care of her, you know. And so, you know, for me, like I like building that kind of network, you know. That's why I never want to look down on anybody or put anybody down, or, you know, even if sometimes a client is expressing themselves about how bad of an experience they have with other stylists, I try to gear them a different perspective. Like, hey, you know, like everybody's at different level, everyone's learning. That's just one bad experience. That doesn't mean they're not going to be a great stylist, you know, or a great artist or a great nail tech or whatnot, you know. And so, and, you know, several times, I think sometimes when stuff goes out on social media, I think it's on my heart to reach out to them. I'll reach out to them, you know, tell them, hey, you know, I saw this. I'm sorry you're going through that. You know, I just want to let you know, like, this is, you know, I want to encourage you to do better, you know, like, you know, stuff like that. And so I think in this community, we got to stick together, you know, we got to stick together, encourage each other and inspire each other, you know.
So have you ever had an experience like that that you're describing, where maybe something was put out there in social media, or that maybe you were criticized for an error or mistake that you made, and how did you come back from that?
Most definitely. I think a lot of my friends have, my other stylist friends have, and I had before. I think the community is smaller, so everyone kind of know each other. I think for me, I try to put it into perspective that, okay, they don't know what they don't know. We understand the craft behind it. We know what's possible, what's impossible. And so I try not to be upset about what they said or how their experience was, because I see it as like they just didn't know what I was doing and they don't know what's necessary, and that's why I think it's important for us to educate them, to shift gear and like give them different perspective about the service or like how their experience went.
I think that's very important and I try to educate all of my clients every time they come in. They sit, especially nails, they see what I'm doing, right? So and what I do is very different than a traditional salon. I don't, the way I do nails is very different. So, for most girls, it's brand new to them. They'll ask me, I've never, what are you doing? I've never seen this before, right? So you tell them, you teach them along the way so that they know what to expect. And the thing that I say to all of my clients is, as long as we're honest with each other, you and I will both leave here today with the same understanding. So yeah, same with hair. You can't go from black to platinum in a day. Mm-hmm. So, if you educate the client to say, hey, these are the steps, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, this will be the possible outcome, but it may not turn out that way because of this. I think a lot of people don't know how to educate, or they don't know that they should. And so the client leaves and they're confused because whatever it is, hair, nails, makeup, whatever, it didn't turn out how they wanted, right? And because we don't communicate with them, they don't know why it turned out that way. So it's very important to always educate them.
And I think a lot of people are so genetically different. There's texture hair, fine hair, thick hair, straight hair, curly hair. And so everybody's experience is going to be a little bit different, I know I in the past, like with, textured hair, I think because I was an Asian woman, I know sometimes I've serviced, texture hair before or African American hair before where I've been judged for it, like she doesn't know what she's doing. And I think sometimes, like for us, I think we have to be honest with ourselves too. Like if we don't know, then we don't know. Yep. And we have to accept that. And if we want to learn, we have to invest into learning,
And I for me, like in my business, I think the most important thing is always like openness and transparency. So I'm always 100% transparent with my consumer or clients, and I'm always encouraging them to be 100% transparent and open with me too. Because I always tell them, I'm like, if you're coming in and you don't tell me what you like and you don't like, and while I'm doing your makeup, if you hate something, if you don't let me know, you're going to walk out of here unhappy. And then I can't help you then, and you're wearing the makeup and not me. And I tell them that all the time. And I always encourage them, I'm never upset with feedbacks. I'm never like offended by it. If you say you hate something, fine, let's take it off and redo it again, and I think clients really do appreciate the transparency,
for sure.
Yeah.
This next question goes to all of you ladies. What are your plans and your aspirations for your business, whether it be 5 years from now or tomorrow? What are you guys working on right now?
For me, I'm trying to put together like a makeup class. I haven't fully gone into it because I just want to know whether it's an interest or not yet before I invest like time and money into doing it. And I think me and Shing have had like many conversations about this, about
a lot of brainstorming sessions, I think.
Yeah.
Some really out there concepts, and then some that are like, okay, this actually could work.
Yeah. So we've been doing that a lot, but I think for me, like 5 years, 10 years from now, I really want to have like a makeup line because, growing up, I've always had like dark spots, like hyperpigmentation on my cheekbones. So that's kind of like what got me started in makeup too, is just that sense of like insecurity of like, oh my gosh, like my skin is not flawless. And that's kind of like how I got into skincare too, like wanting to really make sure my skin texture and everything is good so that when I do makeup, it doesn't look cakey. So I kind of want to, in the future, have my own like makeup line, I really want to focus on, you know, color correctors or like foundations, or, you know, just because I know everybody struggle with like feeling cakey when they wear foundations and they want coverage at the same time. So really trying to do that.
I'm cakey right now.
Don't you-
If anybody cares.
yeah. But then, you know, I would eventually want to full time like do makeup and own like a makeup line or something. You know, just
So
really-
still the entrepreneur
Yes.
route.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What about you, Birdie?
Future plans. I think about it all the time. You know, I wake up and I think about it. I go to sleep and I dream about it, right? And ultimately the goal is to expand. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm still on the fence of whether I want employees or if I want to expand to where I have spaces to rent out to future stylists and, you know, future artists. I haven't quite decided yet, but the ultimate goal is to expand and have some sort of a team. I just don't know which route yet. And then, you know, ultimately I want to add additional services too, which I'm still kind of on the fence on too.
And knowing you, just personally, I feel like when you do something, you want to do it right. You are a complete perfectionist in the skill sets that you want to bring to a business, especially if you're going to monetize it.
Right.
I see and I know you as somebody who, even if you're interested in, like, let's say makeup, you want to know 100% that you're invested
Right.
and you believe in what you're doing and that you feel good about it.
Yeah.
And so if that's like a process that needs to be done slowly over time,
Oh, yeah.
that's something that I respect that about you.
Yep. Yeah. So definitely trial and error. Like, cause I don't want to add something that I think is going to make money or I know will make money. Right. I can add something that's going to bring me a lot of money, but if I hate doing it, then I'm not going to want to do it. So it's a lot of thinking. It's a lot of testing. It's a lot of education, you know, that I have to do to kind of figure out what else I want to add. But then, yeah, that's basically it for me. Just expanding, you know, and having some sort of a team in the future.
What about you, Penny?
Right now, I'm kind of going through a transition.
You want to take over the world, right?
I do. I'm really passionate about impacting, making a difference. You know, I eventually in the future want to do a lot of philanthropy stuff. I actually right now I'm looking into my resources, doing my research, just trying to figure out you know, connecting with different people to kind of learn their experience. I think eventually I want to be able to teach classes and maybe run my own classes and stuff like that. But I think right now there are a lot of bigger and more awesome stylists that I want to learn from. And so I definitely am on this new like journey of learning. And so that's kind of what I want to do first. And I think I told you this before, but I think I kind of want to do like a YouTube channel and go out there and just pick someone off the street and do a makeover, you know, stuff like that. And
I'll be on that street, by the way.
And you know, just stuff like that. And I don't know about the YouTube channel quite yet because you know, there's a lot that go into it.
It's a lot of
and
work.
sometimes, yeah, and I want to like be able to talk about topics like this on the YouTube channel
And do something that you know is good content and
good
not
content,
just to produce
not
something,
just
to
talking
have
about
it.
whatever, you know. But
I do have a question for you guys. So any one of you guys can answer. Aside from beauty and makeup and everything else, is there something else that you guys really enjoy doing? I feel like I learned something about Penny yesterday, and I really want to talk about it because she's so passionate about music also, and it is very much in the realm of arts. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't have ever guessed that was something that you followed.
yeah, I think a lot of people see me as like Penny, the stylist, the beautician, the entrepreneur, you know. And I think it's, you know, music is something that I'm really passionate about. Like it's like a quiet passion, you know. Not a lot of people
Sing for us.
You should sing for us, Penny.
I can't be put on the spot like that. But you know, I do love music. I don't know. There's just growing up, I always had a thing for music. Like I was kind of like you. I was in choir all through junior high and high school.
I think you guys are like one person,
Yes.
and you share the same soul.
My sister from
Yeah,
another mother.
yeah.
Yay! This is uplifting women,
Yes.
right? As live, right as it's happening.
But I do love music. That and one day I actually want to do music as a hobby and write my own music, make my own beats, own my own studio. You know. And so I know stuff like that is expensive, you know, like the equipment and, you know, all of that, and learning to do it, paying somebody to teach you how to do it. And so I think that's something that I love inspirational music. I love music that you can work out with. You know, I love rap music, hip hop, country, R&B. So I don't really have like a genre that I absolutely love, but I think music in general speaks to my soul. And
if it's authentic music, right? Because you spoke
Right.
about that. If it's music that comes from the heart, and I think more so that's, and maybe this is very generalized and I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it, that like when they are an actual singer-songwriter and they write something that is meaningful to them, you feel that.
I feel it, yeah.
And it doesn't matter what the genre is because you feel those emotions or you see through their perspective.
Right.
And I think, you know, that when you were talking about that yesterday, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have so much in common because that's how I feel too. So, okay, so can you sing? No, I'm just kidding. Freestyle rap now.
Next time.
So
What about you guys? Anything else?
yeah, well, you know me.
I do know you.
I'm obsessed with dogs.
Oh.
So I have 3 of my own right now. And, you know, like everybody who knows me, I'm very loud and I speak my mind. I'm very blunt.
No way.
Yeah, right. It's so surprising. Yeah, I've always been very loud and kind of obnoxious, and I'm just a bitch. Like seriously, not in a bad way. I just speak my mind.
You're authentic.
Yeah,
You're a boss
and I
ass
live
lady.
for it.
yeah, so that's me on a regular basis, right? That's just genuinely who I am. But then for some reason,
Man, dogs got you. And
when it comes to those puppy eyes, man, I
soften
just
up. You
melt.
melt.
And so my ultimate goal in life if time was right and if money was right and if my house was right, I would have a flock of dogs. Like I would be a rescue, but I would keep all of them. Like that's literally my life goal is to become a dog rescue.
What's your
but
favorite
to keep it?
dog breed, or do you not have one?
I really don't have a favorite, but I do have a very soft spot for bullies. You know, pit bulls, bull terriers, any big, powerful dog. You know, even Rotties. You know, whatever. I just have a soft spot for them because I feel like they're just
misunderstood.
they really are. Like, there's just so many stereotypes about them, and I mean, every single one I've met has been a baby. So, you know, and like I think that's why I have such a soft spot for them.
Can you tell us about your dogs? I mean, I know about your dogs, but
Can you
tell everybody about your dog?
Yeah, so our very first one was Nemo. He was a 15-pound Pomeranian. He was big. He was a big Pomeranian.
He was a bully in terms of bullying Dodger.
Only to Dodger,
My
which is so
baby.
weird.
Yeah.
Only to Dodger. But yeah, he passed away a few years ago, and then we got Simba. He's a Shiba Inu. I was talking to Penni and Addie earlier. He's an asshole. He's a sweetheart, but he's an asshole. But you know that's typical Shiba behavior. And then our middle guy is a bully. That's a Nimbus, and then he's like, you can always tell it's him because he always has one ear up and one ear down. It's just his signature look. That other ear does not go down ever. It stays up all the time. And then our baby, he's actually half chow and half bully. So he looks like Scooby-Doo.
He's the cutest damn thing I've ever seen.
He's very low to the ground. He's very big, very fat. He just jiggles. There's literally no muscle to him. It's all fat. But he is just the cutest. Like, and legit, he's so big, but he's just the biggest baby. Like, if you have something on the ground, right, usually dogs, they'll just hop over. He has to go around. He will never cross over anything.
Because he probably can't jump over it. Can he?
Yeah, he probably can. He has a hard time.
What about you, Bao? What other interests do you have?
I am obsessed with true crime podcast.
Okay, do you listen? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna jump in. Do you listen to Crime Junkie?
Yes.
Oh my god,
I love them.
Britt Praywat and Ashley
And
Flowers.
Flowers,
If you
yes.
ever
Did
hear
you guys
this-
just become best friends?
Yes.
Because Addie introduced me to
Crime Junkie?
Crime Junkie.
Crime
Oh
Junkie.
my god. Do you listen to Criminal?
I do not listen to
Okay.
Criminal. I've listened to Serial. I listened
Yes.
to Teacher's Pet. Have you listened to that
Not
one?
that one.
Listen to Teacher's
Okay,
Pet.
I will.
We can cut this out. It's an 8-part series.
Okay. Have you
phenomenal.
listened to Dirty John?
I have
movie?
not.
Netflix just did it. I don't know if Netflix did it, but it's on Netflix. And I listened to the podcast, and it's freaking, like, I cannot believe that happened in real life. Like, you need to listen to it.
What is the name of it again?
Dirty John.
Dirty John.
Yeah.
Got it. Mentally noted.
Yeah. So I'm, like, obsessed with true crime, and I listen to it because I travel for my job, too, sometimes. And then, like, I will listen to it all day long while I'm working out, while I'm in bed. And then I listened to it so much that at one point I said to my boyfriend, I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna become a psychopath. I've had visions of myself killing somebody.
Oh my God,
it's so bad.
I literally one time I was in my old apartment.
Yeah.
I made my boyfriend come over because I was listening to Crime Junkie. I freaked myself out and I convinced myself there was a killer in my closet. And I made Mason come over and spend the
I
night.
stay away from that stuff because
Same.
I hate putting fear into my mind.
It's so interesting.
It's so stimulating though, because
It
I'm
is.
with you guys.
Yes.
I feel like, I think maybe that's the psychology
It
behind,
is.
like that's our educational
Yes.
background, like a social work psychology.
You're like, I want to know more.
Yeah.
But you want to know how somebody ticks.
Yes.
Because you can't quite relate.
Yeah.
Right, Bao? I'm just kidding. You can't. you can't quite relate, but it's so interesting
It
how
is.
somebody can
Flip the
think
switch.
a certain way, and like
Yeah.
a flip of a switch, like how they can be like complete sociopaths,
Yeah.
and be some type of way where you believe them to be this charismatic, incredibly intelligent counselor. Just kidding.
That just murders you later.
Who's a beautician during the day, but a murderer at night. But I think that's so interesting. So
To
like,
me, I think the most interesting thing is just like, how can somebody kill someone, come back and live like it's normal, like
Yes.
everyday life?
It's sociopath and
Yes,
psychopaths,
yes.
and those are so intriguing because it's heckle and jive.
Yes.
Heckle and jive.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde. Where it's two split
Yes,
people, and
yes.
all of us kind of have that a little bit,
Yeah.
that little nuance.
But this is
of-
like complete
Yes,
dissociation.
like they go out and they murder and they'll like
Yeah.
sew their eyelids open and then they'll just eat dinner with their family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how dare you?
Yes.
first of all, this is Shang from the Shang and Addie Show. We do not condone any kind of murderous
violence.
rages at all, and we do not have psychopaths and sociopaths on our podcast ever. Unless you are half of the host here. But that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So aside from listening to it, do you like, what else do you do with it? Like, do you watch anything else
Well,
too,
I will
or-
listen to that, and then I would, if they recommend like movies that it's remade, I will go watch that. I'll do more research on that. I'll go on all those websites that Ashley Flowers, they tell us.
Can you tell me about can you tell us about a story that you listened to or read about that's super interesting? Because I actually want to know right now.
Oh gosh, there's too many. Well, I don't want to ruin Dirty John. That's a really good one. Okay, so there was this one time, right? This guy and the wife and the husband, they were stopped at the red light, and the wife was killed, and then the husband was like, I guess, beaten up or whatever. And then later, the cops were like, okay, why? Like, how come you didn't get robbed? How come you didn't get killed? And then he made up like this whole like story or whatever. And then later they found out. Actually, no, he tried to blame it on an African American guy, like giving the description of an African American guy, which they actually found somebody related to that description. So they were gonna like trial and
So wait, let's go back. So they stopped at a stoplight.
and then the wife was shot.
Okay,
and
so
killed.
she was okay.
Yep. And then he survived. So obviously, like the cops were curious, like suspicious. But then I guess the story checked out somehow. But then later they found out that he actually hired somebody to come by to shoot her. And then so he can get like the insurance money. It always comes down to the insurance money.
And it's my favorite when the person behind it will like get beat up or get shot
Yes.
just to try and solidify their story. I'm like, you are that psychotic that you will be willing to get shot in the arm to cover up your own crime. It's
Yeah.
like, my God, I wouldn't dare ever.
There was this one story where the guy or the girl actually wrote like the name like in blood of this person saying like John killed me like on the wall, right? To make it seem like the victim was the one who wrote that before her death. Like they go that far.
Was that the one where she was like hogtied and thrown over the balcony?
I think so.
Yes, and then like
Yeah,
okay.
and then they wrote on the wall.
And then they wrote on the wall and they tried to blame it on witchcraft and a cult.
Yes.
And it,
Oh
yes.
my
Yep. And
gosh.
she was like, and they tried to say she did it to herself
Yes.
out of guilt, but she was hog-tied and
Yeah.
thrown over the balcony. And they're like, how do you hog-tie yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
And then the cops were like, yep, that must be it.
I
Rich
know.
white people, we got it. Which
I know.
I'm white, so I can't say much. But
That took a racial turn. But wow, okay. Well, this turned really dark also.
Yeah.
We're talking about beauty and now we're talking about murder. So that's cute.
But anyways, we are coming up on about the end of our time. So we just want to thank you ladies so much for coming down here. I know some of you, all of you actually drove from quite a ways away and in the horrible weather that we have here in Wisconsin. So you guys are fantastic, intelligent, wonderful women. And I'm so happy to have met you.
Thank you so much for having us. This has been so fun.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
like getting to know
It was a
Birdie
great
more.
It was a great experience.
Meeting you, Penni.
Good to meet you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much, Shane and Addie, for having us.
Yay.
Woo!